Today in class we discussed some really good pen tool tips and tricks to keep in mind. And today's challenge is really about using less anchor points than more. A lot of times when people first start using the pen tool, they get really heavy-handed with their anchor points because they feel like they're in more control. But their designs end up looking really boxy and really jagged, and that's because they're putting too many anchor points. So to practice the skill of less is more, we're going to challenge ourselves to only use 4 anchor points to create the base of the balloon, not the little piece on the bottom or the string. And to do that, we really have to think about placement. Let's take our pencil and let's think about where we should be placing anchor points. I always like to place in the middle of a curve, right? This large curve on the top of the balloon. I'm going to click and drag. One of the techniques I gave you today was to hold shift. It'll keep your anchor point and handles really even, so you have a lot more control. I'm going to cut this next little curve in half as well and put an anchor point right around halfway through this curve and click and pull. And again, I'm pulling really gradually and really thinking about how these handles are working in relation to my shape. My handles never cut into my shape. They always lean against my shape. Okay, I'm going to put one in the center on the opposite side, on the base of the balloon. So far I have 3. I'm only allowed 4. I'm going to put one midway through this curve and pull. And I'm going to put one more to close my shape. All right. Now obviously I need to clean this up, so another tip I gave you is to always swap to your direct selection tool to clean up handles. And I'm pulling handles, and I might need to move the position of my anchor point so that the handles make sense, and that's very normal. Okay? And that's how you create your base. Now to create the bottom part of this balloon, I'm going to zoom in even closer. I also want to keep in mind I don't want that many anchor points. You might need more than 4, but you shouldn't have more than 7, I think. So let's click in the middle here. And let's really think about where these anchor points would make sense. So I'm doing it, okay, even closer. I'm going to get rid of the fill in here. So you can see I have 1, 2, 3. I'm going to put one up here. I'm going to clip my curve by clicking on my last anchor point because I don't need that handle. Let's see. I'm going to clip this again. And maybe one over here. Okay. I'm not clicking every few inches to put another anchor point. That becomes really jagged. And if I feel like some of my anchor points are not in a great location, again, I often move my anchor points around and move my handles around. I never end up with a perfect drawing the first time I draw it. I always tweak it afterwards. All right, and the last thing you're going to draw for this is this line. So this you will not need to fill for, right? We're just going to keep a thick stroke to make the string. So I'm going to start from the base and work upward and thinking just about all the curves I'm seeing. So I'm seeing one going this way and one going a little this way. And I'm pulling my handles, but I'm never pulling them so extremely far that I don't have control. And one more. Then I go with my direct selection tool and I clean up my lines. When I'm done, I should have a shape that I can fill with color. It should look exactly like this. For part 2, we're going to practice these balloons, and we're really making one balloon again. This one has a slightly different shape, but you're still going to be challenged to only use 4 anchor points on the base. It has an additional little rounded part here and some extra little lines. Once you make one balloon, you can make it whatever color you want. You're going to end up copying and pasting it. I would recommend grouping your balloon once you make one. And something to consider while you're working is the arrangement of this. Which balloon is all the way in the back and which balloon is all the way in the front? If you feel like you can handle it, which I think you can try the extension. And this is a more difficult balloon because it's all of these pieces. So each one of these little segments is a shape. But still using the pen tool and still using less anchor points than more.